Are you suffering from anxiety? It is one of the biggest issues, especially in the current climate that we're experiencing, that many people are anxious. Anxiety is real. Anxiety, you can have anxiety attacks. I used to suffer from anxiety attacks a long time ago when I was married, and I started getting anxious because there were certain triggers in my relationship that would bring on this feeling, this sense of, your stomach is churning, or you feel like you have to go to the bathroom, or you get hot and sweaty, and it's just an uncontrollable and debilitating feeling, and is one that if you've experienced it, you don't like it. It's not something that you want to experience every single day of your life, and it's not one that you want to get comfortable with. Most of society is suffering from anxiety, especially during coronavirus and before coronavirus. There are people who get anxious. They get anxious about the normal stressors of this life. Your family, money is a big stressor. Your job, just not being able to, operate in a relationship the way that you think you should, or not knowing how you should. Anxiety is real. But I'm here today to tell you something about anxiety that maybe you didn't recognize before, or maybe you did and you just need to be reminded of it. Anxiety is from the spirit of fear. Anxiety is fear driven. When you're feeling anxious, remember that. Fear is the driving force. What are you afraid of? You need to ask yourself some questions. What am I afraid of? What's the worst thing that can happen? And then a lot of times when you ask yourself that question, it's because you're already there. The worst thing has already happened, but you're still fearing that it's going to happen, not recognizing you're already there. So that's the second question. What's the worst thing that can happen? And how can I move forward even though I'm afraid? A lot of us are courageous. A lot of us know how to push through the fear and get to the place where we have to deal with the anxiety, but it doesn't make us any less anxious. So how do you answer those questions, and how do you overcome anxiety? I can tell you how I did it, and how I deal with anxiety. It doesn't mean that I'm the guru on anxiety, on the topic of anxiety, but I'm here to tell you how I deal with it. One of the things that have helped me when I have been feeling anxious about anything is, first of all, I pray. Most people don't pray the way I pray, or they don't understand what prayer is, but I pray about the situation. And the second thing I do is I acknowledge the situation, and then I problem solve. What's the best thing or the best approach to this situation right now? Most of the time, the answer is simple. Sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes it's simple as just composing yourself first. Because if you are anxious, chances are that the way you're approaching the situation is not going to have the result that you would expect if you approach this situation without the anxiety. The first thing you need to do is calm down. The first thing you need to do is recognize that you do have power, even though you feel powerless in this moment. A lot of us get so afraid when we are faced with the inevitability of decision making or stuff that is just thrown at us right away. It's okay to be afraid. Acknowledge that also. It's okay for you to feel the way you feel right now. What is not okay is letting that feeling go past a certain amount of time. What's a certain amount of time? For me, I have the 3-day rule. You've heard about 3 strikes, you're out. For me, I have implemented in my lifetime and my own lifestyle the 3-day rule. The first day, if I'm losing my, I allow myself to lose it. I allow myself to get all wrapped up in the emotion of the moment, the worry, the doubt, the fear, all that stuff is hitting me. And sometimes I just need to absorb that and go with the flow. By day 2, I start going through the problem solving process. I'm like, you know what? I don't like how I feel. I'm calming down. I'm like, what's really going on here? Let me start writing on the facts. Let's see what is the facts. Okay, this is what it is. Okay, this is what happened. And then what control do I have over this? And if I have any measure of control, I start to think about how I can exercise that control. By day 3, I'm back on the horse. I'm ready to ride out of here, ready to ready to rekindle the relationship with the Lone Ranger. I'm back on the horse and I'm tackling the issue, and then I feel better. So you can do the 3-day rule if you want, but a lot of people have issues with processing. The problem with anxiety is that we allow it to go on for longer than it should. Medication can help. There's some people who suffer with anxiety as a default because chemically, you know, they have all kind of stuff going on that's affecting them. But for the majority of society who's dealing with anxiety, anxiety is something that you have to take control of. You cannot allow it to take control of you. If you're feeling anxious right now, ask yourself, what am I anxious about? And why am I so anxious about this thing? Because that will lead you to the second question, like I said earlier. What am I so afraid of? What's the worst thing that can happen here? Identifying your fear, acknowledging your fear is necessary in order to relinquish or to let go of the anxiety or the feelings of anxiousness. I'm not saying that you're going to be anxiety free initially, but if you practice these things, if you recognize your fear, if you own the fear, if you release the fear, and if you realize that, guess what, you have absolute power, then you will not be anxious. You always hear me talking about one of my favorite authors, James Allen. James Allen wrote As a Man Thinketh. I suggest everyone who has never heard about a book, read the book. James he talks a lot about man and man's condition. And one of the things he says that even in his worst state, even in the most negative points in your life, you are still in control. Even when things feel out of control, you still have control. A lot of you are saying, well, I don't feel that way. Of course you don't feel that way, but it doesn't change the fact that it's the truth. Even in your worst moments, you're still in control. Even when life is coming at you and you feel like you cannot control it, you do have control. What do you have control of is the absolute question. And that's what has saved me every time. The thing that I have control of the most is myself, my response and my reaction, which leads me to my video on you don't always have to respond, you don't always have to react. It's under the best advice I was ever given. Watch that video. Because a lot of times we respond and react in ways, or maybe not at all, that we shouldn't. But you have control over yourself. Believe it or not, you do. It is simple as meditating. It is simple as doing things like yoga. It's simple as putting on music that distracts your thoughts and negative thoughts you're having. If you have a backyard, go into the backyard. Try to listen to the birds chirping. Try to hear the noise of nature instead of noise that you've accumulated or brought in from the world. It is as easy as disconnecting from the source of anxiety or the thing that is making you afraid. And all you have to do is tap back into yourself. Go back, go inwards. Listen to the voice of reason. Listen to the voice of calm, which is outside of yourself. When I talked about prayer, that's what it is. For me, praying allows me to take me out of the immediate thing that is causing me the most anxiety. And it takes me to that place where I can be calm, where I can relax, where I can recenter, where I can regroup and realize, guess what? Like I said, there's nothing bigger than you, unless you think that the thing really is. My name is Ingrid Felton. I hope, as always, that you got something from this short video. Thank you for subscribing to the YouTube videos. Thank you for telling your friends and your family and everybody about the videos. I hope you are. If you're not, do so. And again, just remember, subscribe to the video, like the videos, and also visit my website, thejourneyoftruth.com, where you can find more information about me. I'm going to continue doing this. It's not easy, but I am committed to doing it because of you, my subscribers. And I thank you again for your subscription. And I hope that this short video on anxiety, did not give you any more anxiety, but it allayed your fears just a little bit. Remember, anxiety is from the spirit of fear. If you recognize that and you tackle the fear, you can feel less anxious. Try some of the techniques I outlined here today. And look for other people's videos on how to center yourself, how to regroup. Again, thank you. Bye.